Russell, Russell, Russell. Which would be the most appropriate path to follow? That's a question each of us asks, likely in every moment, in making our determination as to what it is we want to accomplish. Or maybe another way to phrase that is there a direction that I'm being shown that is more appropriate for my safety going forward, that is not going to directly create an encounter with experience that could lead to my demise. Those are not light considerations, and part of the reason I'm drawn to, focus in that direction this week, which is actually a lot more weeks these days we've gone through this same kind of energy, because of the fact that Pluto, Pluto, that great quandary into the mysteries of life, is set up in such a fashion. If you look at the whole chart configuration, this is known as a bowl pattern. All the planets on one half of the chart. And in a bowl pattern, there is a lead planet, which essentially a lead planet is the planet that is basically taking hold of the reins and calling out for the direction of where it is that we're going to head. Pluto is that planet right now. We go, in and out of this configuration as the pattern shifts. Every month, paying attention to the two lights, the sun, that reservoir of vitality and energy that is calling very specific shots as to where to bring our focus. And right now it's in Aries, and Aries is that first sign of the zodiac after the spring equinox, inspiring us to plant something new that we hope is going to grow into something useful for us. And the moon, a reflection of that solar light. The moon is all about change. It's the fastest moving of celestial beings around Earth and in our particular section of the solar system. And it's changing all the time. Every month, the sun goes through a sign. Every month, the moon makes a complete circuit around the zodiac. Comes back to a place where it's going to initiate something new when the sun and the moon conjoin, come together in, oftentimes, the next sign. Now, lately, these new moons have been happening near the ends of the signs. And this week we're going to have another new moon. Yeah, in Aries. Yeah, where was my thought before I got distracted by these celestial lights? Ah, yes, Pluto. There is always, when Pluto or Plutonic factors are in play, opportunities to investigate life's mysteries. And as the leading planet right now for this next week, until the moon finally catches up and starts moving across that other side of the chart, and this week in particular, I'm bringing it up because there are a couple of sextiles that are going to happen between the planets and Pluto, between other planets and Pluto. One will be Mercury, which will form a sextile to Pluto. And another will be Mars, the ruling planet right now of Aries, also will form a sextile to Pluto. I will get to those because they aren't happening right away. When we look at the energy that has happening this week, maybe one of the reasons that I'm inclining myself toward that Plutonic consideration is that today is the 11th of April, and on this day, the moon has just danced across that part of the space occupied by Pluto. And we'll throw that Sabian symbol degree consideration for this Pluto factor that I'm going to be utilizing. A masked figure performs ritualistic acts in a mystery play. That's the Sabian vision. And the keynote: the individual's involvement in long established patterns of activity, aiming at the release of collective power. Pluto is not just mysteries, it is power as well. Further considerations of this particular degree where Pluto is: the great mysteries of the past were created by inspired seers and adepts for the purpose of transferring to a mentally conscious and humanely significant level of group operation what in the lower kingdoms of life we call instincts. Biological and cosmic energies can thus be used to ensure that social processes do not lose touch with the deeper realities of planetary and universal life. Rituals are binding, and often the performers wear masks, for they do not act as human persons, but as focal points for the release of transpersonal forces. This presents to us social processes in their deepest occult aspect. The individual is seen as having assumed a transpersonal responsibility. I want to just allow you to hold that Plutonic thought as we dive into next week's considerations of the continuation of our Aries dance, ruled by Mars. So when I look at this week, we're holding that Plutonic factor as the focalized planet for this particular time, always in our considerations. It's kind of like almost on somewhat equal par with that solar Aryan objective of initiating something. As the week unfolds, we get to Wednesday. On Wednesday, the moon goes into Aries at the very same time that Mercury goes into Aries. Can you feel that hat change? There's something quite dynamic transpires on this mercurial day where stepping forth from Pisces, the penultimate sign of the zodiac, into Aries, the initiation point, the primary beginning of the zodiac. From the deep spiritual realms of Pisces, where creation is available at so many different levels, asking us, the meaning of life. And it's also the final stages of the creation of a new seed element that is being formulated to be able to be offered into the next Aries moment to see what will grow from a revelatory experience that we've gone through, making a determination as what is it that we want to add into this new seed being. Wednesday, this Moon-Mercury shift into Aries, you can almost, breathe into the experience of feeling yourself as that seed element planted at the appropriate depth into the earthen essence, awaiting the draw of that solar being to say, come forth, present yourself, let's see what and who you are, and what that seed formation that has transpired is putting forth as an opportunity for something to be born new in this moment. Thursday. Notice Mars at 5 degrees of Aries is moved into that sextile with Pluto at 5 degrees of Aquarius. There is, because Pluto's in Aquarius, always a group goal that's at work. That's just, and it's Pluto saying, are there mysterious factors that are attempting to be awakened in some format within the group? And this sextile from Mars, the ruler of both Scorpio, which has that Plutonic mysterious secretive kind of aspect, and Aries, which is where the sun is in the season that we're in. Mars is in Aries. So there's a potential impulse to, ferret out as best we can this deep Plutonic version of that masked character on the stage, presenting opportunities that don't always come along to awaken to core parts of our reality that are, always percolating away often underneath the surface and occasionally breaking through to say, hello, I brought you something. Can you see in that the potential for that version of the new seed experience being drawn up by that solar radiance? Doesn't necessarily as yet know what it's come to offer. It's just, presenting. I'm here. I am. Welcome to the world. Now, I was thinking about this in my dream dance last night, about how as a human being, we each arrive and into a container, and I'm going to define this container maybe just generally, but the container has people already present. You've got your parents, mom and dad, right there, They have a version based on their living experience as to what might be best for you, so that you wouldn't have to go through the same kind of challenges that they had to go through. And so they take this brand new being, remember, it's our, moon, Mercury, just arriving into Aries, brand new, not really inclined in a particular direction, just present. And then society, the next layer, family and society, the next layers out, are all impinging their energies upon this new being to become a part of the matrix of where it is that this society is headed. If we just drift back a short distance, just before birth, which, ironically, that zone between births is a piece of infinity. It is huge. There is a lot transpiring there in preparation for what's next. So this new being that has chosen to come from this infinite space of immense creativity into incarnation doesn't really arrive as a blank slate. It has, remember our Pisces, it has been formed, its seed formation, from a vast arena of different potentials coming into its next incarnation moment with something to do, along its trajectory of soul development that is to transpire here on Earth with this life experience. And it encounters these versions from the humans that are already present here that may or may not actually be an enhancement, oftentimes more of a challenge to what it is that this particular soul has come and has brought as its gift for all of us, for the life experience. Can you feel the potential springtime in that consideration? Can you feel the potential for the mysteries to be unfolded that are there awaiting recognition? I think of several particular shamanic adventures that once the adventure has been done, and if it happens to be something as profound as some form of initiation or a soul retrieval or something like that, the representation is that that is an experience of a new birthing process. And when someone returns from that into what is an opportunity for some new space to be available for that soul being, that is the time to welcome them home. So the same thing for a new birth. The awareness of welcoming this new soul being home is so very vital. In order for the creative unfolding of spring, which is the season that we're in here in the northern half of the planet, to potentially be something new, are we open enough in ourselves to the potential for the awakening of newness? Not a regurgitation, representation of what it is that has led us to this point, but the birth of something dynamically new that is going to lead us forward on a path that we don't know what it is yet. We don't need to know what it is, but we have to recognize each of us comes with a gift, part of our core soul being, to be presented in this human dance in a way that will enhance and invite something to awaken in a new fashion on this planet. We don't always remember what it is when we're born, but that does not do away with the fact of its presence. This Mars sextile Pluto right now, on Thursday this week, it's asking us, we got that Mars, that impulsive drive to go and to do and stuff. In what direction? A Plutonic direction. What are the mysteries? What are the secrets to group energy, Aquarius, that need to be stirred, enlivened, perhaps excavated and brought to the surface for our consideration. Oh, and on this same day, where's our Mercury? Yeah, we're holding hands with Neptune. Levels of creative artistic expression, are potentially at work in our thoughts, in our word potentials. Not necessarily something that others are going to be able to readily interpret. That's that artistic expression because, art is in the eye of the beholder. But that Mercury-Neptune conjunction on this day is, it needs to present. And to be doing it in such fashion that having a care for how others are going to interpret what it is that's coming through you, through your artistic expression, it needs to be seen by others, and they're going to see it in the way that they need to see it. And, this is Aries in the presentation of new growth taking place. It needs to come forth. Our interpretation of it is good for us. The interpretation that others are going to have for it, it's got to be their own. And some will and some won't be able to, fathom, what it is that's coming through in this new growth experience. That's as it should be, because the potential for newness, something delightful to put in an appearance, it isn't and shouldn't be preconceived as a fitting into a pattern that already exists. No, that's just a repetition or a regurgitation of where we've come from. And how is that going when you look at the world these days? I don't want to go there right now. But something new is required. Friday, 17th. We have the new moon that takes place at 27 degrees of Aries. Each new moon has the potential for being an initiation of something new and dynamic, being invited to participate in and with, in a fashion of the particular sign that is taking place in Aries in this case. And our responsibility at each new moon is to set an intention, create a dynamic direction to go in that carries the fingerprint of the sign that this new moon transpires in, based on where that is in our chart. Where is the Aries in your chart? Is it in the ninth house? Do you have visions of the potential for going on a trip, exploring other cultures, creating a kind of expression through literature or publication that is going to instigate change? Is your Aries, is it happening in the fifth house? Do you feel the percolating ideas of, wanting to, stir the pot of creative energy onto some kind of a stage performance, some kind of a level where there's a creative solar energy at work to get some messages out before the public, to be able to express something deep within yourself in Aries fashion, with that driving, impulsive kind of thing that says, I'm saying something, pay attention to it. Or is that Aries energy maybe in the 11th house? Is there a process taking place within your cultural cosmic tribe of group energy that is, you can kind of feel this, the energy of the group is trying to break out of some kind of a shell that it's been contained within. There's that Aries formulation or expression of that new seed that we've been developing for quite a while, wanting to sprout forth within the group. New thoughts, new forms of creative invention that, something new is waiting to be born. We are the parts of it. Let's see how we fit together with one another in a new fashion to birth this new reality with the invention of a process that can awaken each one of us in a more invigorated and lively way. Lots of ways to go with this. That's why when you're doing individual charts, it's much more dynamic because you've got all the factors of everybody. Saturday, Mercury, 5 degrees of Aries, sextile to Pluto. Our creative thinking processes, might be more inclined to penetrate below the surface that has been accepted by everybody else, and to bring forth aspects of the mysterious, of the secretive, that are, existing just below the surface. And this Mercury in Aries, is likely to, become aware of this. Perhaps even say something about this. Point to say, hey, look what I found. Look over there. Can you see what's going on? This is the kind of energy that this particular weekend has. The potential for awakening to something that we haven't been awakened to before. Saying something about it. I won't say that it's going to be easy because we're talking Pluto. And Pluto, the life-death factor, might there be the requirement that something is going to need to die and pass away in order that this new awareness has the awakening potential to expand and grow into what it is inclined to? It is on the cards that can transpire. We come to Sunday, and on Sunday, look who's holding hands. Mars and Saturn. I think a key word that could be utilized to describe this in a way that is not meant necessarily to curtail what it is we need to do, but frustration is it potential in the mix. Mars wanting to do things. Saturn saying, it's in Aries too, so it's got that Martian energy. Yes, do something, but make it meaningful. if you're just doing something, just to do something, just to be doing something, I don't think Saturn is going to be happy. And Saturn says there needs to be a structural meaning to why things are done. So this impulsive Martian drive, ready to leap forth and do something creative in the moment, and you can almost feel the energy, the restlessness in the legs that want to just go, 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 go. And Saturn said, yeah, we can go, but let's make sure that we're going in an appropriate direction, that something new is going to actually be able to be born from this that hasn't been here before. Okay, that's all I'm going to have for this week. It's springtime. This is the season of initiation. An initiation, while it can be couched within the context of an often repeating kind of process, does not really clarify the potential for true initiation. I think when I think of true initiation, I go back to that Mercury and sextile to Pluto. That is a seeking for total truth. And it can come at a cost, because the version of total truth it exists at the soul level. It's not necessarily readily or easily located in the dictates of our modern society. We here in the United States, we have a capitalistic, military-driven system that is utilizing the resources of this planet in a most destructive fashion. As I close my eyes, here on the right I have a picture of a planet of forests, clean air, clean water, vibrantly alive, that was given to us to tend and take care of. And then on the left, here's the vision that is being spewed forth by the military economic complex that is polluting the air, the water, the actual earth that we live on, this beautiful pearl in space. We need to change the direction that we are moving in very dynamic fashion. Because the military economic version is not sustainable. We have a lot of work to do to grow a new garden. This is springtime. It's time for that new garden to start to spring forth and replace the destructive aspects of our modern society with an enhanced capability of engaging with one another, no matter what our cultural backgrounds are, to compare notes and see why we're all here, to do things together. An Aquarian moon going on right now as I'm doing this. I, as an Aquarius, am going to tune into that. I don't have a choice. I just invite you to participate with me in being this Aquarius part of yourselves as the adventure into something we have not experienced in a long, long, long time. That's all I got for this week. Thanks.